What you just saw in the intro there was me washing off a handful of Black Nebula carrots that were growing in the Birdie's raised bed. There's still like 3 more varieties in there, but these were starting to look rough, the greens. So I figured it was time to harvest them, even if they weren't going to be huge carrots. So the chickens are now enjoying the greens, and I'll show you the carrots that we're talking about. So these are Black Nebula. See, I'll break one in half here so you can see. Oh, no, it's just solid all the way through. Sometimes they have an orange core, but these guys do not. I've washed them off. Very sweet. Now, you may have noticed that they had a lot of these excess roots here. This can happen if you have too much nitrogen in your soil. So this is a nice fat one. It broke off, unfortunately. Would have been a nice long carrot, but I'm still happy because generally I don't have good luck with carrots. So growing them in that Birdie's raised bed is ideal because the soil is loose and they have plenty of room to grow. But I think because there's so much compost in that bed, there's too much nitrogen. So most of the carrots that come out of there this time around will have probably a lot of those hairy roots. That just means that I don't need to fertilize in there for quite some time when we do more plantings. Okay, so in addition to harvesting the purple or the Black Nebula, which, by the way, it's, this would make a really interesting dye. There's lots of anthocyanins in here, like you have in blueberries and stuff. So interesting variety. But today I was still struggling, and it's mostly because I'm not sleeping at night. I'm coughing most of the night. For some reason, once I lay down, it's something about the postnasal drip or the lower cortisol or histamine or whatever at night. Anyway, the symptoms are a lot worse, and so I'm not getting much sleep. So I'm still pretty low energy. But what we're going to do is on the front deck, I have 2 containers, urns, that are usually planted. I usually plant them up for Christmas with, greens and all that kind of stuff. This year, I didn't do that. Instead, I used an urn filler that I had boxed up in the rafters for many years. And so we're going to take those out, put them away because it's the end of the holidays. And we're going to plant up those 2 urns with some plants that will be good for late winter into spring. So here are the urns I'm talking about, I've got one on either side, and you can see that they have the urn filler in them. Just going to pull that out, put it back in their boxes. So one of the reasons I'm doing it this time of day is to show you that this front porch in the wintertime really gets 0 sun. So my plant choice for this area has to be very strategic. They maybe get an hour of sun here in the winter. Now in the summertime, when the sun is higher, we might get 4 hours of sun. Still not a lot. So it took me a while to find, because the nurseries are pretty empty right now. It took me a while to find some plants to use. But what we do have is this fuchsia here. It's called Thumbelina. And what's great about this is it can tolerate full shade. And it'll get bigger. And it can go into the landscape afterwards or in like a hanging basket or something like that. So I have other places I can put it if it doesn't decide to do well in this urn for most of the season. So each urn will get one of those. Now, they're all very small, so it's going to look very puny when I first plant this out. But they will grow and fill in. And these guys, the fuchsia gets up to 40 inches tall. So it'll be a nice centerpiece. And then surrounding it, we just have these violas. I need to pick off the dead flowers, but the fuchsia is a fuchsia pink. And then we've got these orange and purple violas. So it's an interesting color mix. And these guys are pretty indestructible. They can handle hard frost and shade as well as some sun. So we'll get 3 of these around them. Again, it's going to be planted up kind of sparsely, but they will fill in as time goes on and the sun gains more traction on the porch here. So I'm going to go grab these boxes, get these guys boxed up, and then we'll start with the planting. So like I said, looking a little puny, but I think that once those Thumbelina fuchsia grow, it's going to look great. And the violas will fill out the bottom. I kind of wanted to get something to spill over the front, like Dichondra Silver Falls is one of my favorite spillers, but they're not out yet. It's too cold for them, so couldn't find any of those. That'll wait. We'll use them in another container at another time. Now, another thing, but I can't do this today, I need to do some work on this container. So this has a star jasmine in it. As you can see, it's climbing the pergola over here to meet another one that's like, I mean, they look so ragged, but they bloom. They look beautiful when they bloom. Anyway, the other two things that are in here that died was a Boston fern, which is right here, and a heuchera. Now this is definitely dead. This, I'm not so sure. Boston ferns are famous for coming back from the dead. But as you can see, because of its location, it never gets any water. So I need to deeply water this over the next like 2 weeks. Get it super nice and soft and wet, because these leaves, they're doing okay, but they could be doing a whole lot better if they got more water. And then as we get closer to warmer days, I can find something to put in here that will look nice, that also doesn't need any sun, because this spot, no matter what time of year it is, never gets any sun. All right, so for the rest of today, I'm going to focus on the front walk. I'm going to have a lot of places that need spring cleanup come spring. So I'm going to start a little early because it's a nice warm day. I'm going to just start cleaning some things up. I may not even finish this today, and there's no rush. So what am I talking about when I talk about spring cleanup? This is a Japanese maple, and you can see it is covered with dead leaves. I like to get all of these off. Now, new growth will push them off, but I like to go on and get them off, get the whole plant cleaned up. Then I can see what I need to remove. So like this is a dead, like I need to get my pruners out here. These are dead sticks. So I will clean this up, get rid of all the dead stuff, and then it will be ready for new growth. The azaleas here, this one is just starting to get some yellow leaves, and we've definitely got yellow leaves here. So that means it's time for an iron treatment. The camellias are currently in bloom, so I'm not going to mess with those, but they will need to be pruned afterwards. So this area here mostly just needs to have an iron treatment, and then this is an azalea that, actually 2 azaleas. We had to have our mainline sewer replaced a couple years ago, and they did the trenchless work, but they had to cut into the patio here to feed the pipe, and this got crushed and it died. So this needs to come out of the ground. At the very least, I will cut it off at the base, and then you can see yellow leaves on these azaleas. They need a treatment so that they will not struggle to produce flowers. I have to treat for iron deficiency twice a year. And it's not because there's not enough iron in the soil. It is because our pH is super high. It's an 8. And whenever you have really high pH, it tends to block the ability for plants to take up nutrients. Not all nutrients, but certain nutrients. And in this case, with acid-loving plants, they can't take up iron. And so I use iron sulfate in here. It sinks down into the soil, everything turns green again, and the plants are good for another 6 months or so. So here's another Japanese maple, it needs to be cleaned off and all the dead sticks removed. The last time I pruned all the Japanese maples about 2 years ago, so it's time again to cut back all the dead growth. And then on the other side, some of these azaleas, like this one's just fine. But see, this one is underneath a redwood tree, which is an acidic conifer. So it acidifies this soil, and I never have to treat these azaleas. Okay, so I want to come through here and cut back all the stuff that did not get cut back last spring because I ran out of time. So deadhead all of the lavender so it doesn't get too woody. Deadhead all these thymes and things in here. Cut things back so that they have space for fresh new growth to come up. The grasses need to get cut back. And some weeds removed. Just nice, relaxing work. It's not too hard, but will pay off in the end. There are about 500 daffodils in this bed here. And so clearing a lot of this up will really help them as well when they start coming up in the next couple of weeks. Okay, I wanted to wait till the sun went behind the trees because it was getting a little hard to see through here, but let's quickly go over what was done. Okay, starting on the walkway. There's some little hellebores in here. So I need to come through and pull some of this mulch aside in places. The mulch is literally just fallen leaves and needles from the redwoods, which is great because it does decompose and break down. But as you can see, it gets like locked up in some of these plants, and then it makes it hard for them to thrive. So it's good for soil cover, but you know, too much of a good thing is not a good thing. So, okay, we trimmed back all of the lavender. I really cut a lot out of the bottoms because that's where a lot of the woody stuff goes. And then, you know, you can already see them. There's daffodils in here. So those guys will start coming up and fill in some of these spaces, but I can also put pop in some small thyme across the front of the brick border here. I mean, the stone border later this year, and that will all, you know, kind of fill in. I give everything a pretty sharp haircut because the stuff underneath, when you have these kind of things, it just all dies back. So that kind of refreshes it. Cut back that lavender up there as well. Yeah, these guys look so much better. And more helichrysum I cut back. The grasses got cut back. So yeah, it was all, you know, it's probably not very stark difference, but to me, it feels a lot better. And then did not treat the azaleas yet because I need to go buy iron sulfate. I thought I had it. Also didn't pull these out yet. That'll be another day. But I did do that first Japanese maple, and then this last one took a long time, but hopefully you can see it looks a lot better. So, you know, naturally, a lot of these branches just kind of die back. And so, you know, every year new growth is put on. This one has a weeping habit. And so, you know, when it's really leafed out completely, I'll see if I can find a picture to put in here for you. It's a big, giant, just mountain of leaves. And so a lot of those branches go unnoticed, being broken and dead underneath. So I cut everything off that was dead, and what's left is still living wood, which will produce leaves this year, and that will just be much healthier for it. And then I also pulled back quite a bit of this mulch, which is again just downed leaves. I pulled a lot of it out, and because it was deep, it was like, I don't know, 6 inches deep. So I pulled a bunch out, and that will go in the green bin, but the rest is still here, and it's decomposing under there nicely, creating beautiful soil. It's very soft walking through there. So, but then again, this area, when we first moved in, I tried to plant some things in here, and just nothing really lives because it's shaded all the time. This is a north-facing wall. These Japanese maples get sun because they're, you know, kind of above the ground floor here, but everything else, it's very shaded in here. So I'm fine just to let it continue to be just a woodland floor. Okay, you guys, it's been a long day, got a lot done, but now I'm really wanting a shower, especially because all the dust and stuff from cleaning, it's up in my sinuses. I want to go get it all cleaned out. All right, thanks for hanging out with me today. We will continue to do these, you know, cleaning up in different spots and different beds as the season goes on, whenever we get a little dry stretch. So, you know, hopefully by the time it really is spring, I will be ready to go and everything will be done. Last year, that was not the case. But tomorrow, I'm hoping to go out to the farm and get all the mums cut back and the sunflowers and all that kind of stuff, and have that, those lower beds, you know, ready for whatever I'm going to do. All right. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful time in your garden, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.